Pragmata. Wow. What to say about this game that hasn't already been said? To be honest, I don't really know if I can, but I still got to give my bit here. I really just finished this game like moments ago, and my head is like a jumble of about 30 different thoughts right now. First off, I loved everything about it. The story is simple, but man, does it stick with you. I won't go into spoilers right now. I will have a spoiler section later. But I mean, what? It was so good. I mean, the gameplay is unique. It's really fun. It's constantly throwing new stuff at you. Every new location has new enemies. Most locations have new weapons. And even if they don't have like new weapons just sitting there for you to find, you'll probably be unlocking some through other means around that time anyway. And it just never feels like there's a moment of wasted time in the game at all. It's a wonderful gameplay loop. I was never bored for a second. I mean, the game never lets you be bored for a second. So, like, if you're on the fence about this game right now, all I have to say is yes. Unequivocally, yes. Go buy the game right now. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Watch it on YouTube, whatever you gotta do. I think you'll probably like it. But if you are coming around here for a few more details, I can give you some of those too right now. So, the story of the game begins with a group of mechanics being sent to a space station on the moon that they lost contact with a couple days ago. They're going to check out the problem, fix it if they can, and when you get there, they all find that it's completely abandoned. And within minutes of getting there, the entire crew of people there is killed off except for your character. And you fall unconscious, and when you wake up, you are found by an android that looks like a small child. And she has the ability to hack the robots around the station and some of the other machines and stuff around the moon base, making her very useful. And she agrees to kind of help you out and team up, so you both try to find a way off the moon together. And this introduction scene between our two main characters, Hugh being the character that you mostly play as, and Diana, the small girl on his back, really does a lot of heavy lifting for establishing like a lot of just like their characters, their how their relationship goes, and it even introduces like the core gameplay mechanics just like immediately. Again, not a second wasted. They give it they give a lot of it to you like right then and there. There's like a little more in-depth stuff that you get later on, but I mean the core of the combat is introduced right there. The main character, Hugh, uses he's the one in charge of shooting all the guns. However, all the enemies wear armor, so the guns like can't penetrate the robots at all. And admittedly, I did kind of wonder, why are all these mechanics like armed going to the moon? I mean, they're supposed to be mechanics. They're going to fix something. I guess if like they got word of people being violent up there, like I guess it makes sense to send them up with some kind of like protection, but that's really besides the point. But he uses all the guns, and then the android girl on your back is the one that can hack the bots and expose all of their weak points, allowing your guns to like actually do damage. Otherwise, you basically do minimal damage if you're trying to shoot at armored bots. And it's such an interesting combat system that I've really never seen done before, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is so addicting to do. And I mean, I wasn't even abundantly good at it. For me, I really have to like stop to do the hacks and stuff like that. It was not easy for me to repeatedly do. But I could see some people being like really good at it, where they're like still shooting at the bots and like hacking them at the same time. So people that can like really multitask well and do that type of stuff. Like, oh, I would love to see some really high level gameplay of this game later. Like, I'm very interested to see what other people will be able to figure out after this game's been out for even longer. But the bright side is, it doesn't really feel unfair even if you can't like do both things consistently. The story itself doesn't really demand that from you. However, some of the extra challenges and stuff that you get in the game, those do kind of tend to. However, again, there's also like an auto hack ability to help you with that exact problem. So if you're having trouble hacking and doing the shooting at the same time, you can just use like the auto hack and stuff, which I have to admit I only found myself using like once or twice, because I still just enjoy doing the hacking myself. It was so much fun to just do like right in the middle. right in the middle of the combat and stuff like that. It was very satisfying to pull off. And then where there's a little bit more layers to a lot of the combat is that, like I said, Hugh is the one that has an array of guns. He has his pistol as a primary weapon, or in the gameplay that I'm showing right now, you do find an auto rifle later that is another primary weapon that he can equip. But I mean, you find a bunch of other things too, from shotguns, railguns, stasis fields, drop shields, just to name a few, and they all like do different things. There's the supporting weapons that are essentially used to either make it easier to hack, or the stasis field will like slow down enemies once you shoot it at them. And the riot, I think it's called the riot launcher, that like it knocks enemies down. Then you just have the guns that are meant for just like heavy damage, which is like your charge gun, which is basically the railgun that I was talking about, your shotgun, stuff like that. And then you also have defensive ones where there's like a decoy field that you can send out that the robots will attack the decoy instead of you. It has like a drop shield as well. They do a very good job at making all the different weapons be very useful in different situations. However, all the weapons do have the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild type problem, as they are 1 part steel, 2 parts styrofoam. When you pick up a weapon and see that it only has 4 shots, that's all it has, and it breaks after those shots. Like, you don't just get to like pick up the shotgun and then pick up more ammo for it later. And to be honest, this has made sense in the story, because some of your crew, when you first get to the moon, are talking that the entire base that you're on is made out of a special material that is only found on the moon called lunafilament. And it can be basically made into anything, but like I said, the one caveat is that it's fairly fragile. And yet no one ever really bothers to fix anything in this rule either, because it's just easier to use lunafilament to just print a new one. And yes, you did hear me say that right, print. Basically the entire area that you're in, like this entire space base, was made using the world's largest 3D printer. But they also do mention that the base, like, while it probably is made of lunafilament, they likely did something to make it sturdier than most of the other ones, so they didn't skip on like safety regulations and stuff like that. But yeah, however, the thing that is quite nice is that whenever you are leaving your hub area, well, your weapons, like I said, can break, but whenever you're leaving your hub area, you can equip whatever weapons you want and then go into an area. So like if you see a boss fight's coming up and you want specific weapons, you can go back to you can use your checkpoint, go back to the hub area, and then come back and have whatever you want in a loadout and be prepared for a boss. But you will just find different weapons like sitting around the map, and while admittedly a lot of the stuff that's laying around is either just meant to be very useful for wherever you're going next, or there's literally basically some encounters that are like tailor-made to like some of the weapons that you'll just find sitting around. You know, if you're in a boss room, there will be a bunch of other weapons sitting around the boss room for you to use and stuff like that. But there won't just be weapons sitting around, there will also be hacking nodes, which is where the gameplay for Diana gets spiced up a little bit more. She doesn't get as many options as Hugh, but they still give her plenty to do to make sure the hacking is never dull, and it's always super useful. So she gets a variety of these things called hacking nodes that do different things if you go through them in the hacking minigame. Like, some just drop enemy to defenses, some will hack multiple enemies at the same time that can freeze them in place. You can even get a confusion one to get enemies to start attacking themselves. There is a limit though. While Hugh can carry a lot of different weapons, Diana can only have 3 different of these hacking nodes equipped at a time. And that's not even what you start out with. You start out being able to use less, and then the max at the end of the game that you get is 3. And then she also gets these different hacking modes as well. So once you expose the enemy's weak point, you can hack them again and again and again, but they will keep doing something different. The one I personally like to use is where it fills up the enemy's exhaust gauge instead. And once their exhaust gauge is up, then you get to like go up and do like a really big attack on them. And so my strategy often didn't involve me going for all of the big damage, but to build up that gauge instead. And like, that made fighting bigger enemies a lot easier in some cases, at least in my opinion. Granted, there was also probably some guns I could have upgraded more to just really dish out the damage to them, but still, it was just a lot of fun, and it was really satisfying to get off those the big special attacks and stuff like that. Um, I won't say too much more about the story until the spoiler part, but admittedly there isn't too much to spoil. The premise at the beginning is really all you need to know. You're working, with Diana, find a way off the space station, but there is a malfunctioning AI that is opposing you at every turn, making it harder to do. It does evolve a little bit more at the end, but I will talk more about that in the spoilers. But the one last thing I really do want to talk about before I go to the spoilers is the exploration. The game is linear, so it's not like, like there's like a big open world to explore or anything, but there is, from your hub area, you can select an area you want to go to, equip your loadout, and then head off. But you can also go back to explore these previous areas at any time, which is really nice because, there's different checkpoints, there's chests, there's also mods that you can equip on your character and stuff to, again, do more things in the combat, and you'll just find these sitting around the world. And when you are choosing a checkpoint to go to, it will actually show what is still available to find in the area, what you have and what you haven't, which I bet makes it real easy for a lot of completionists out there that want to 100% that. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those. I'm still missing a bunch of stuff in a lot of these different areas, but for the people that like that, I assume that's gotta be real useful to them. But little side note here, I also really like the look of the areas. Sometimes games that take place in space can get kind of like samey after a while, just kind of the same like metallic like spaceship hallways and stuff like that. At least in my opinion, Pragmata doesn't at least not fully do that. There is definitely variety like in the areas. You still find yourself in some of like the samey hallways, but like, one area looks like a big city, one looks like a forest, and just I thought they were really distinct, and I really loved like the design of these areas. I thought the sets were really cool. My favorite area personally is the second one, the giant like city that you can walk around in. That was really nice. And then another thing that I need to bring up real quick, because I can't believe I've neglected to do this so far, is the shelter. It's your home away from home in this game. It contains all your necessary weapons and upgrades that you'll need in order to find your way off the moon. When you find new weapons in a map, you can come back and basically purchase them from the shop, and then you can upgrade them even more. And while I did say that the weapons do break, once you buy them in the shop, you can equip them whenever, and when you upgrade them, you will then find the upgraded versions like sitting around the map and stuff as well. So you'll just find better shotguns and stuff laying around now, and it makes things obviously a lot easier once you're dishing out so much more damage. Yeah, and then you can also, as part of your loadout, you can start selecting the new hacking modes and the hacking modes and nodes that Diana can equip and stuff like that. There's also outfits in the game that you can unlock as well, which I really liked because I guess a lot of different games have like outfits, but this was kind of one that I saw for the first time where like, some of them like the outfits aren't all like DLC and stuff like that. I was very appreciative of that. I think I've been a little bit jaded by some of that lately, where so many outfits are DLC, or you go to change a character's outfit and all the extra outfits are DLC. And then there's also a little robot there named Cabin, and he's basically your AI for running the shelter. As you explore, you'll find these things called cabin coins that you can use to fill out these bingo boards that he has, which will do everything from unlocking new weapons to keys to enter optional areas with like bigger fights, but they have good loot in them and stuff. New outfits, all hacking notes, everything like that. You name it, he has it basically. And on top of that, there is the training simulator, which is basically extra challenges that you can do to take on for even more upgrade rewards. And they were super useful. They did get pretty harder later on. I started to kind of fall off doing more because I was invested enough in the story that I was just going for finishing the story. But they were still pretty... They're still pretty fun to do. I think a lot of people will probably really enjoy those. And plus, the rewards you get from them for upgrading your character are just super nice. And you also get more cabin coins for that as well, which helps you fill out more of the bingo boards to get even more stuff, and so on and so forth. The game every 5 seconds is giving you stuff to go back and upgrade for. You just never run out of stuff like that to do. Alright, but that brings us to the next part of the video. Now, we're getting into spoilers. Okay, so this is your big warning. I'll flash it on screen, everything. This is your warning. We are entering the spoiler part of the video. If you're planning to pick this game up, I suggest that you leave now, because I'm going to be talking about, the end game, spoilers, stuff like that. I'm not holding back anything here. So this is your big warning now. This is your chance to leave. Alright, let's give everybody a minute to go. Alright. Is everybody gone? Okay, good. Hugh fucking dies. I'm not kidding either, at least not fully. I mean, this ending tore me apart. I was really hoping the final part of this game was going to be Hugh and Diana making it back to Earth, but it wasn't. Oh, it hurts so much. So, let me at least lay a little bit more groundwork for you here. If you aren't as familiar with the story up to this point, the beginning happens exactly like I described in the beginning of the video, but in the third area of the game, you meet another android, another Pragmata named 8, and she is trapped by the Luna filament going out of control in this area. You help free her from the Luna filament that's literally like holding her back, but the rogue AI Edis like fully locks down that area with 8 in it, but not before 8 gives Diana the key to shutting Edis down. So you go to shut down Edis, only for it to reveal later that the Luna filament can corrupt. And when Luna filament, the stuff that's making up this entire base, corrupts, it eats away at anything organic. It's why you're not finding bodies anywhere. It's dissolved them all completely. And the other problem is that 8 is actually not friendly. So we use her code to reboot Edis, but then she takes Edis over and is planning to take all of the corrupted Luna filament around here and ship it off to Earth. So she's basically trying to like end the world essentially. So after you fight and stop her at the end of the game, you try and get away, but earlier 8 had hit Hugh and Diana both with the corrupted Luna filament. Hugh was able to heal Diana, but it's revealed at the very end that, I mean, it's shown a little bit more throughout it, is that he is getting corrupted by the Luna filament. It is slowly killing him beneath his suit, and he eventually keeps his helmet down so Diana can never see his face, and the fact that it's starting to cover his face as well. And then at the end of the game, they find a ship to use. Hugh, like, puts Diana into it and is going to like push it along. He kind of tells her there's no like automation. He's pushing it along the rails to get it off into space, and Diana is like waiting there for him to come in, and he opens his mask to give like a final like heartfelt goodbye to her as he pushes her off into space and then falls back down to the moon as he's like being dissolved from the inside out by it. But oh my god, I mean that broke me. I could not believe that was what they did at the end there, because like especially because like their relationship, it carries the whole game. You are the only 2 living characters you meet in the whole game besides 8, and 8 is really only in a handful of cutscenes besides like the cutscene when you like first meet her, and then like, well, where you first meet her, she gets trapped, and then basically like the end. She's in just like a handful. You can count on like one hand how many times she is in the game. These 2 characters, Hugh and Diana, they are the game. And to see it end like that instead of Hugh taking Diana to the ocean like he promised was just devastating to watch. But I will jump in and say this though, there is a slight caveat to all this. Once you beat the game, you get some extra challenges and stuff like that. And then if you beat the final boss again, you will get an extra scene at the end of the game. And I don't know, I almost hesitate even calling it a scene, because it's just like a blank screen, but you hear the sound of a door opening, and you hear Cabin's voice saying, "You're back. Traveling alone this time, I see." And so it's kind of implying that Hugh maybe did live, but again, it's just a blank screen, so you don't really know for sure. But I mean, I'm guessing that's probably what it's gonna be. And with how popular this game has been, I have a hard time believing we're not gonna get like a DLC to wrap it up. or like an extra DLC or like a Pragmata 2 or something like that. At least I would really love to see that. I think that would be amazing. I'd love to get like kind of the Hugh get back to Earth and have him like reunite with Diana and stuff like that. Um, Oh, and then I also just gotta bring up that the final boss, like just before all this stuff happens, was really cool. And like the big set piece of the end where you like fly around and like blow up the big monster with like the massive cannons and stuff. Oh, dude, that was really neat. I love like those kind of ending set pieces. I know like in terms of the gameplay, there's not as much like stakes there or anything, but I did like that whole like I always like those kind of like big final just cool looking set pieces. And then so like while it's the ending that devastated me, I also really liked how they did the text logs in this game. Now I don't usually read a lot of text logs in different games. I know it's probably like blasphemous to some people, but but I don't know. This one there was few enough that I just read them all, and I kind of liked because it kind of showed some people starting to figure out like what was going on with like Edis was like there was getting to be problems with Edis and all these different things like suddenly going rogue, but like no one was able to figure it out fast enough, and then it all just went to crap at once. That just took everybody out. Like oh it was. I'm sorry, the words are failing me, but I just really like how it was done. And then, of course, we have one of the bigger characters in all these flashbacks and stuff, and that is Dr. Higgins, who is the creator of Diana and 8. He's like the closest thing we basically get to another character, except that he's dead, just like everybody else before we see him. But the data logs paint a really good picture of like what he's trying to do. So essentially his daughter Daisy is sick, and thanks to Luna Filament he's able to create more lifelike robots and use her biological data to recreate conditions that are making her sick and try to find a cure. At least that's like the rough idea of what I got that he was trying to do. And that's what the Pragmata are actually made for. And he's making these on the moon because android research like this, or at least like lifelike androids, is illegal back on Earth. Like he's not allowed to do it there, so he has to do it someplace else. And he thinks he's really close to finding a cure, but it's not ready for human trials yet because while the Pragmata are very similar to humans, they are not the same. So he knows that while he can get close to human stuff with this, there's going to be more experimentation before this cure is ready for humans. However, someone else in the company wants credit for his research, so they go and test the cure on his daughter. And there are some data logs that talk about, I think one made it sound like it was intentional that someone did this to almost like get back at him. A different one said they think it was an accident that his daughter was chosen for the clinical trial, but admittedly, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The cure wasn't ready, and injecting the cure into her didn't save her, but just finished the job the sickness was already doing. His final words that you get to see here as he's like dying due to the corrupted filament are angry, and he wishes that he could have like shown them the damage that the corrupted Luna filament can do, and like that he keeps talking about that they should have listened to him. And 8 sees his final moments and takes on these final wishes by spreading the corrupt filament, the corrupt Luna filament on Earth. Will not only make people aware of the dangers, but it will also get kind of like the revenge that he was kind of seeming to want there. However, as the game goes on and Diana kind of rediscovers this stuff about Dr. Higgins, and she makes her own decision based off of her memories. She doesn't think that Dr. Higgins would want that, and she instead makes her own decision to fight back against 8 to save the new world that she wants to get to, that she wants to call home. I mean, what can I say? That, like I said, the story really got me. I liked it a lot. It's just a wonderful story of love and family. I mean, what can I say? I shed a tear at the end when Hugh died and Diana was desperately like trying to get to him. You watch Hugh go from someone who just wants to get out of the situation and doesn't seem like he doesn't seem to even like the idea of having kids or anything like that. Plus he also doesn't like robots either. Like in the beginning of the game, he expressively says that you can never trust a bot, and when his friend says is talking about his kids, he says you have kids? Sounds rough. So you can tell he doesn't really like either of these things. But then he goes to genuinely caring for Diana and sacrificing himself to get her to safety. And Diana goes from kind of naive and careless and to making her own decisions, and also like thinking of her, not only of herself but the others around her, because in the beginning of the game she was like more prone to like almost getting hurt and making these like rash, just impulsive decisions and stuff like that. I wish I had more to say, but it would just come back to me saying the same thing again and again, and I mean, I already still have several times. I love this game. From the combat to the story, I hope many of you give it a try. Whether you play it or watch it online, it's a story that took a lot to be told, and I'm very glad it was. When I saw the initial reveal trailer years ago, I didn't think much of it. It didn't seem outstandingly interesting to me, and I kind of just figured out it would, I just kind of figured it would fizzle out and die. And I mean, to be honest, in a way, it kind of did for a while. Like, I didn't hear much about this game for years, like no real updates or anything else. Now, granted, I wasn't necessarily looking for it either, but then suddenly it came out, and you know, I remember the trailer and I just wasn't expecting anything, and then suddenly everybody was talking about it. I'm just like, well, I at least got to give it a try, right? I'm gonna just see what all the hype is, and I am very, very glad that I did. I'm very glad that I played it. Anyway, that's all I have for today, and I will see you next time you decide to visit the archive. Goodbye.